Charlie from Reader Turned Writer. Today I am breaking down the beats from the Disney cartoon Mulan. I recently did a video breaking down the beats from Save the Cat Writes a Novel. One thing that really helped me when I was first learning the beats to really learn them better was to break down the books and the movies that I was watching and identify each beat in whatever media that I was consuming. Disney movies actually work really great for this because they're typically well done, so they have all of the beats, but they're also for children, and so they're a little bit simpler. The story's not quite as convoluted, there's not as many character arcs in them. Today I'm just going to give you an example of what it looks like to break down the beats. I'll identify the section of plot that I think each beat is and tell you why. If during my analysis you think that I misidentify one of the beats, let me know in the comments below and why you think that, what you think the beat actually is. Those types of discussions can really help both parties involved to learn a lot and can also be really interesting. Let's start with Act 1. One of your main jobs as an author is to make your reader root for your main character. In Mulan, they make you care about Mulan through her main want. Her want is to impress the matchmaker. They show her proactively doing that, but she's a lost cause. So they combine three things: a clearly defined want, making the main character proactive, and making the main character an underdog. Your second main job is to show how your character's life sucks because of their flaw. Mulan's theme is acceptance. She needs to accept herself for who she is. You can see how her flaw affects her life with her family. She is expected to do certain things, such as bring her father tea. She drops the tea things. She pulls out an extra cup from her dress, showing that she commonly does things like that. She also does things like makes the dog do her chores for her. You can also see how her flaw is affecting her job, which is to bring her family honor with the matchmaker. Obviously, she does not do a very good job of making the matchmaker like her. In fact, it is a total disaster. She is trying really hard at the beginning of the movie to be someone that she is not. A really tangible example of that is how she writes down the answers to the question for the matchmaker on her arm so that she can recite them to the matchmaker. The first beat is the opening image, a one-scene snapshot of your character's life at the beginning of their story. Mulan's opening image is her waking up and trying to do her chores, or having the dog do them for her, while preparing last minute for the meeting with the matchmaker. This makes her late for her appointment to get ready for the matchmaker. We get a very clear scene of what Mulan's everyday life is like, and we also get to begin seeing her flaw. The next beat is the setup. This is multiple scenes letting us see more of the main character's life in more depth. Mulan's setup is the prep for the matchmaker, where her family is helping her get herself ready for the matchmaker scene, which is her work, and more with her family, where she is sitting under the tree with her dad. Throughout the beginning of the movie, we see that she is not the person that society expects her to be and thinks that she falls short because of that. During the first part of your story, often during the setup, is the theme stated, where a side character implies to your main character what their internal problem or the theme is. In Mulan, this happens as Mulan is sitting with her dad under the tree. He shows her the flower and gives her the line about how the flower that blooms late will be the most beautiful of all. At the end of Act 1, we have the catalyst, or the inciting incident. This happens to your main character and is a big event that changes everything for them, pushing them into their Act 2. For Mulan, this is when the imperial search for soldiers comes to her hometown and her father accepts the call. Her father is no longer as young as he was and has a lame leg and will almost certainly die if he goes to war. But Mulan can't convince him to stay. The reason this is so big that she can't go back to her old way of living is because her father is such a big part of her life and her family. Without him, everything is different. She has to do something to save him. The debate scene, a scene which gives your main character a chance to digest what just happened during the catalyst and decide what to do next, finishes off Act 1. For Mulan, this is when she watches her father practicing with the sword and falling. Then she makes the decision to actually leave her home and begins making preparations to go to war, gathering the sword, praying to the ancestors, cutting off her hair, etc. In the first part of Act 2, or Act 2A, your main job is to give the reader the promise of the premise, or act on the blurb of the book, or in this case, movie. In Mulan, this is Mulan pretending to be a man in the war camp to save her father, or the Be a Man song. Your second job is to show your main character trying to solve their problem in the wrong way, or externally rather than internally. Mulan does this by pretending to be someone she isn't. She thinks the only way to bring honor to her family is by not being herself. The first beat of Act 2 is Break into 2. This is one scene where your main character proactively chooses to enter Act 2. For Mulan, this is when she enters the war camp with Mushu and disastrously follows his instructions to fit in. The next scene is B Story. This is where you introduce your main character to the characters that they will be with during Act 2 and who will help them to complete their character arc. Mulan has Mushu, who is a mentor figure who is also trying to prove himself. He pushes her to keep trying and also keeps believing in her, even during her all is lost moment. She also makes 3 friends in the camp. She has to get to know them to become friends with them first, but once they are friends with her, they stay true to her and accept her even after finding out she's a woman. She also becomes close with Captain Shang, who is confident in who he is, but is also trying to prove himself as the captain. The next beat is Fun and Games. This is where your character gets to do what is promised in the blurb. In Mulan, this is her training in the war camp and getting to know her new friends. You can have your character flourish or flounder here. In Mulan, she starts off floundering, having a downward trend in Fun and Games. She is terrible at everything, and in fact almost gets sent home. She does have ups and downs, but overall she doesn't adjust well to her new Act 2 world at first. The Fun and Games leads to the midpoint, or the middle of your story. This is where the stakes are raised. Mulan's midpoint happens as they are called off to war. Because she has a downward trend in Fun and Games, her midpoint is a false defeat. They discover that the Chinese army has been wiped out, killing all the soldiers, including the captain's father. It is personally hard for Mulan as they show her finding the doll of a little girl, which references an earlier section when she helped a girl in her own village. The stakes are raised as now Mulan's group of friends are no longer the backup, but China's only defense against the Huns. That pivot brings us to Act 2B, Bad Guys Close In. This is all about keeping the tension building and highlighting the fact that the main character still needs to solve their internal problems. Whether your main character is flourishing or floundering now depends on what you did in Act 2A. It will be the opposite. For Mulan, this is where Mushu gives away their location to the Huns, and they end up fighting the Huns until Mulan uses the last cannon to cause the avalanche. Mulan here is on an upward trend, the opposite of what she was in Act 2A, succeeding at not only wiping out the Hun army, but also in saving the captain during the avalanche. We see that she is resourceful and strong, but her successes here, the captain's trust, her new friendships, the position she is in to use her resourcefulness, are all thanks to her pretending to be someone else. It's all balanced on a lie because she hasn't accepted herself for who she is yet. This tension all climaxes at the next beat, the all is lost moment, where the worst thing that could happen in the story happens. Mulan's all is lost moment comes as they discover that she is in fact a woman, not a man. Not only does this ruin the plot, with Mulan and Mushu no longer bringing great honor to the family and her having to go home, but it highlights Mulan's theme. She is not worth something as a woman or as herself. She can't succeed by being herself. After the all is lost, your character needs a dark night of the soul or some time to wallow in the horrible things that happened and then have an epiphany about what to do next. Mulan's dark night of the soul is when she and Mushu are sitting on the mountain trying to roast the weird sausage thing. Mushu has Mulan look in the helmet and tell him what she saw. She says she wanted to see a strong woman, but instead she sees nothing. She is giving up, going home. Her epiphany happens as the Huns pop out of the snow like daisies. She realizes that China is still in danger, a plot epiphany, and that she needs to try and help as herself, the theme epiphany. This pushes your main character into Act 3, where you get to deliver on everything you've built up in the previous acts. The first beat is Break into 3, where your main character proactively moves into Act 3. For Mulan, this is where Mulan goes to the festival. Let's go kick some honey buns. The next beat is the finale, or Storm the Castle. For Mulan, storming the castle means saving China from the Huns that only she knows survived. Storm the Castle is broken up into 5 subbeats. The first of these is Gather the Team, where our main character gathers help in the form of friends and any supplies they need in order to storm the castle. For Mulan, this is her trying to talk to the captain, who doesn't listen at first, and then, after the Huns do attack, calling on her friends as they are trying to force the way into the palace to save the emperor. She pulls them aside to her own plan instead. The next subbeat is Execute the Plan. This is when Mulan's friends pretend to be girls to get close enough to neutralize the guards, giving Captain Shang a chance to send off the emperor down the little string thing that they have in the palace. The friends escape with the emperor. This is followed by the Hightower surprise, an unexpected barrier to the main character's plan that forces the main character to prove their character arc. For Mulan, this is when Shan Yu is going to kill Captain Shang, and Mulan shows Shan Yu that she is the soldier from the mountain. Your character then needs a dig down deep moment when they can dig into themselves, proving to the reader, or viewer in this case, that they have actually changed and completed their character arc. For Mulan, her arc is accepting herself for who she is and knowing that she is good enough that way. She proves it here because she continues to be herself as she is solving these problems. She accepts that she is a woman and that she is not the kind of woman that China usually reveres. She isn't subservient, she is strong and capable, and wants to fight. During the next beat, the execute the new plan, which for Mulan is to blow up the roof with fireworks while Shan Yu is on the roof, we see how Mulan accepts herself as a woman in the way that she fights. The perfect example of this is when Shan Yu says she's all out of ideas, and she says, "Not quite," and takes his sword away from him with her fan, a very feminine object. Alexa Dunn's extra beat, the calm after the storm, is simply a breath for the characters and the readers or viewers after everything that just took place. For Mulan, this is when the emperor honors Mulan in front of all of China and offers her a job. The interesting part of this scene is that it gives Mulan another chance to prove to us that she has changed. She doesn't take the job with the emperor, which would bring more honor to her family and prove her worth to others. Instead, she accepts herself for who she is and goes home. The closing image is the final beat, mirroring the opening image and showing us that now that our main character has completed their character arc and made those internal changes, their life is good. For Mulan, it is mirrored by being home with her father again. Now, instead of rushing to complete jobs and doing them incorrectly, she has honored her family, but not because of what she's done, but because of who she is. The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter. At the beginning, she failed with the matchmaker. At the end, she has a date with someone she really likes. She is accepted by her family, and most importantly, accepts herself for who she is. So that is the breakdown that I came up with of Mulan. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and especially if you disagree with any of my analysis. I would really love to have that discussion with you in the comments. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching my video. I will see you in the next one.